Hey guys, I'm CCV. I am an esports caster working in the esports club, and this is going to be an interview about South Asian Rainbow Six Siege, the state it is in now, and of course answering many questions about its future. Hi, in a region like South Asia, where esports has just started, we can compete with other regions, those ones with a proper structural way, by building the proper structural way from the ground up. Well, there is nothing more to it. It's again, it's a lot more easier said than done, but it's simple. What happens? South Asia, we've got plenty of talent. We've got so many players playing games, even Rainbow Six Siege or any other game for that matter. The first thing has got to be finding exceptional talent from a large pool. There are always going to be the outliers through social media, through ranked matches, through scrims and whatnot. The new talent needs to be found out and selected, and then of course through the help of experienced players, the talent needs to be harbored, recruited into professional teams, or you get made into new teams, sign up for some tournaments and essentially get even known. And of course then once you already are at the top stage, we have already seen in Rainbow Six many new players becoming additions into these top tier organizations, already making a name for themselves, the firepower they bring. Finally, you just need to refine all of this talent, and that is going to come from two major factors. The first is going to be the help from the tournament organizers, constantly organizing and holding these tournaments, further enticing the players to get better and improve their skills. And of course, team organizations. I think one of the major things that's lacking in South Asia is that we don't have proper organizations, or really a lot of orgs supporting teams and having rosters. And again, orgs give you the resources, give you the funds to invest in your players, and because orgs aren't there, South Asia does get left out. But yeah, plain and simple way is going to be to tackle the other regions. South Asia needs to build its own system from the ground up, but of course all of that has been happening, and I feel like we are still not started, but in the middle of doing so. For South Asian teams, big or small, no matter how good they are, the major reason why they cannot perform against teams of the strongest regions are just the lack of opportunities and how little they get to play against them. I mean, unless you talk about behind the scenes scrims and all that, which again obviously don't matter because scrims are only there for practice. Official tournaments, there are very little, extremely few chances a South Asian team will have of competing against teams of the other region. I mean, okay, this year 2022 we had one example of that in the ROG Masters tournament that just took place. The best team from South Asia after their qualifiers, Hunters LFO, they went to the LAN in Thailand. They faced off against Southeast Asian rosters. That's well and good, but in a full year, that's all that's happening. South Asia was supposed to play in the APAC League relegation matches that were going to happen. The two best teams from the South Asian Nationals would move on alongside two teams from the Oceanic Nationals, but all of that got scrapped for the 2022 year, meaning that in a full competitive year of Rainbow Six Siege here in South Asia, we only had one tournament where South Asian teams could officially play against rosters of other countries and all that. This of course is the major reason why players they just don't get enough experience against them. Even the previous years when we used to have a different kind of South Asian nationals, the ones being led by ESL and all that, we used to have 2-3 matches a year max to max in the relegation, and that's about it, and that too just against Southeast Asian and Oceanic teams. Nothing about international. There haven't been any tournaments or anything along the lines of South Asian players getting to play against teams from other regions. So yeah, there are just no opportunities, sadly. And even in the official path, with, like I said, with the relegation being scrapped, no matches whatsoever in this entire competitive year, which of course leads to lesser motivation for players to continue as well. biggest instigator to growing a South Asian audience for Rainbow Six it has to be, Rainbow Six Mobile that's coming. Because, plain and simple, almost every person knows in the region, mobile games sell a lot more and a lot more easier to market and advertise and, pitch to a South Asian audience. So Rainbow Six Mobile does help a lot in that. It's going to be the best shot Ubisoft and the community has of, growing the overall community. Of course, that still has a long ways to go before it's completely out for launch. We're still in the beta phase, so we'll see how that happens. But strictly speaking, for PC terms, I think a lot of the things that can work have been tried out. They just need to be more long term, and a little bit has to be invested from the side of Ubisoft as well to, invest into it and like push into it. Is going to be streamers and all the gaming YouTube channels that advertise and showcase gameplay or games to a large audience other than just esports, because that's the thing. We have had plenty of esports tournament organizers for Rainbow Six Siege here in South Asia, many who had started, many who are still going, and some who have ended their journeys as well. But that still hasn't helped far too much. What can help, of course, are new audience members who can, grow the casual audience for Rainbow Six Siege even further, because it has been declining. So all the streamers, starting to play their games, of course, if Ubisoft gives them good reason for it and sponsors their streams, or various up and coming YouTube channels as well who want to try something new. We have seen examples of that. I remember one of the esports tournaments I was casting for Villager Esports. In one of their finals, I was with Hevan in like the casters. Me and one more guy, we were with Hevan in a VC, and he was streaming the match, and he was streaming Rainbow Six for the first time. That was really interesting. I know the ROG tournament that just took place had people like Hydroflick and all streaming and co-streaming their finals as well. Maybe something like that a lot more and a lot more frequently can help, grow the South Asian Rainbow Six audience. LAN. But no, see, thing is, I can't really give LAN as an answer, because even though it is a permanent solution, yes, it will solve all of the ping problems. You can't arrange a LAN for, every little tournament that's going on. Just doesn't make any logistical sense, would be far too expensive. So yeah, in an online setting, sadly for South Asia, considering just how many players from different countries play, just how varied the pings are, it is extremely difficult to have a foolproof solution. Someone or the other, or in most cases everyone, is going to be, a bit into it and a little unhappy with the one or the other or something, if that's happening. We have introduced like exit lag very recently, kind of like all the other international tournaments that have been happening, but there will never be that solution, as sad as that is. A lot of thought has gone behind it. But even if you introduce, say, Mumbai servers, right, which again, introducing Mumbai servers is not, it's not a flip of the switch, can't happen in one day, takes a lot of investment, takes a lot of money, a lot of time to set up, and a lot of willpower from the side of Ubisoft to do so. So again, it's not as easy as 1, 2, 3. But even if that happens, ping will still be a relative issue due to, again, the geographical locations. You've got players from Bangladesh, you've got players from Sri Lanka, you've got players from Maldives, you've got players from Pakistan, and of course you've got players within India as well. So for online, there have been many different systems that have been introduced, getting their own server choice and all of that. But no, ping is always going to be a problem, and it's such a problem to this extent that even in the Oceanic League, when so many of these Oceanic teams play against Southeast Asian rosters, these guys play on 120 ping as well. When you have teams from Australia and New Zealand participating against teams from Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia in Rainbow Six, even these guys have to play on that much. So sadly, it's a problem plaguing the entirety of APAC. Absolutely. The participation of TC a game changer, it would be considered more so a game saver for the SAR6 scene. And I can say this personally as someone who has been a watcher of South Asian esports, a participant of South Asian esports as a caster before I joined the esports club as well, right? Is that, yeah, there was a severe decline of SAR6. You know, more and more tournament organizers were leaving, and with the South Asian nationals getting scrapped as well, there was no structure for these players, and there was nothing to look forward to for these players. They had no idea what was happening. But DC, we now have a full 2022 competitive year that, well, now is coming to an end, but we've had for the entirety of this year, we have our, you know, challenger series, of course, that ultimately lead to the South Asian nationals. We have our community cups as well that just again harbor new talent and encourage even casual players to sign up with their teams. We offer R6 credits to further entice the players, and there is a proper path now of achievement and a proper path of getting better and refining your play as a player and moving on forward and moving up the ladder, of course. And as TC as well, you know, thankfully we now have a direct contact with Ubisoft, and of course, you know, we can talk to Ubisoft and have a lot of discussions about South Asia as a region and have a lot more control, which, trust me, again, being in TC, there are so many people passionate for this game. I can't even start to tell you what all goes on behind the scenes, how much we care for the nationals and the entire structure, as a matter of fact. But yeah, overall as TC, I can see this from within the company as well. We're of course doing our very best to promote the game even further to our audience that has been built, who are actual, again, esports enjoyers who may have come from other esports titles, right, who are now getting to see Rainbow Six for the first time. They're seeing the nationals on our broadcast, they're seeing our clips on Twitter, they're seeing the interviews that were also again conducted of these players, getting to know it even more. So as DC, we are doubling our efforts and putting in everything to further promote SAR6. So yeah, it has been a major game changer.